Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. This morning we are chatting all about the We Must Dance TT that took place recently by the MPros. Good morning, and welcome, Vennorick Cupid, who is the president of MPros. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning.
Excellent. Now, you guys put on this event. Tell us a bit about it. How successful was it in engaging a number of young persons?
This was actually the second time we would have done this tour. The first year, which was last year, we did it in February and we engaged 3 schools across the island. This year, we're proud to say that we engaged 10 schools, including schools from Trinidad and schools on the primary school level, and it was extremely amazing. It was extremely successful to the point that some schools are asking it to be an every semester kind of thing. So I'm happy to say that.
Right. And tell us, what was the significance of the event? Like, what was the idea behind it? And, what are you trying to achieve by putting on this?
So this initiative would have came from many directions. One of the main directions were the fact that we have a presence on the island, which is Emperors. We have been dancing for years. Everybody would have known the Brotherhood. Myself, Nicolon, Chapley, Destin, Orel. And we would have partnered last year and also this year with the Division of Tourism and with Fog Angels, and we realized that there are many avenues where young people have not really had the opportunity to dive into. And one of the avenues of them happen to be dance. And if you look at TikTok, if you look at social media, dance is very strong amongst our youths, and we also have, also on the same hat, a problem with violence within the schools with our youths. So we thought about it and be like, you know what, could we use our platform and use something that they like and use it in a way to teach them the lessons that we want them to learn. And the whole team for this year, the whole team for the tour is actually more dancing, less violence. So we would have used our platform, used our influence, use our resources to get that message across the best way that we know how, by showing them healthy ways to express themselves via dance, via chanting, via singing, via healthy expression. So that's basically it.
Excellent. And when can we see this happening again?
Well, as much as some of the schools on them like Lambonica was currently requesting for it to happen again in September semester, we are currently looking at making it an annual thing. So we are carding it for next year, April, that month of April being a sweet month. But a huge part of this also boils down on the support that is needed to execute, because even going to Trinidad as a Tobago initiative took manpower, took time, and this is something that we as Emperors, being a 5-man or 6-man team, we cannot do alone. So the dependency on it happening, we are reaching out all stakeholders, even to the secretaries, even to chief. Let us invest in our kids. Let us use mediums that they know that we could control the narrative to create an impact. Because every school we went to, every school we visited, they wanted to do a TikTok. Every school from primary to trainee to secondary, all of them wanted to show that positive side. And I think it's so amazing to kind of counterbalance all of the fighting and all the negativity that you've been seeing happening in schools. So let's invest in it. And with that being said, I am putting this pen to paper. I am pledging to have this happen next year in the month of April again. Bigger, better, stronger.
Right. And, how is it for you? As you said, you need resources to do it. So, partnering with entities that fund initiatives like this one, for example, the Digital Foundation and Scotiabank and a number of these other corporate entities that support initiatives of this nature. Is this something that you're looking into?
Of course.
Getting sponsorship from?
Of course, we are not so myopic as to we believe that we could do this on our own. We would have been in front of hundreds of, probably about 3,000 kids throughout this whole tour. And one thing we realized is that we cannot do it alone. So we are glad to say that the Division of Tourism and the administrator there would have lent support and resources. We're glad to say that Mr. Jared Primer and TPAC would have lent support. We're glad to say Tobago Carnival Fog Angels would have lent resources and support. But we need more. So all these entities, Digital Foundation, divisions, even the Division of Education, even Chief, we will be reaching out to you, whether you are government, whether you are private. Once you are willing to lend aid to help impact this next generation using a medium that they like, that they could resonate with, other than going up in front of them and talking right through. Because we know young people do not have the longest attention span. So sometimes it's just changing the approach, and we will be reaching out, but also reach out to us if you're willing. If you're hearing this, if you're willing. You could contact us on all social media profiles, Emperors. Please reach out. Let's make this a movement.
Excellent. And, even as we wrap up the discussion this morning, are there any other projects in the making that you guys are working on outside of the school tour? And how can people support what you are doing?
People could support what we are doing by just following the page, by sending ideas, by being more proactive, because we cannot think of everything, we cannot do everything, but we are willing to try. Our next major initiative that we are currently looking at, we are hoping to throw a school competition, because we realize in Roxborough Sec, in Goodwood, in all these schools we would have visited, they have a plethora of dancers, especially young males. And if this is an avenue that they like, it is an avenue that they choose to express themselves, we need to give them something to strive towards. So we're hoping probably by next semester to sort of put on a competition, get some attractive prizes. I don't mean a little 500, just want to get them. No, let's make it an annual thing. Let's make it a huge thing. And probably next year also probably put on a festival somewhere that all these students could come on a big stage, kind of like a heritage opening coming up, and let them show us what they could do.
Royal Tobago Dance Festival.
Correct.
Okay, well, we look forward to, you guys putting on these type of initiatives and getting this type of financial and logistical support that is needed to get it done. What type of resources do you think should be, channeled into the industry to ensure success? Because there is, organizations like TPAC, and you have those independent dance groups and dance organizations. A lot of them are focused on folk dancing, though, and other traditional means of dancing. Pros, on the other hand, focus on more modern type of dance, hip hop dancing. Tell us a bit about what differentiates Pros from the other dance groups that exist within the space, and why it's important to get other young persons on board and involved within the dance group, to help expand the work that you have already started.
That is a beautiful question, I must say, and it is something that I am glad at this stage I believe I'm in a position to answer accurately. So when we went to Trinidad, we visited Diego Martin Central as one of the schools on the monitor, and we would have shown them some of our folk dances, the brush back and all of that. But we started with our type of dances first, the hip hop and the trendy. When we got into the folk dancing, they had so much fun. They didn't even realize that it was Tobago folk dancing that they was going crazy over. And I say all of this just to mean that we need to find a way. If there's a disconnect with the young people with our tradition and our folk, you don't necessarily have to present it in the same way as you did it before. Find a way to get them interested in it and then drill the principles into it, because students in Trinidad dancing the brush back, doing the heel and toe, doing the jig, that made me feel so proud as a Tobagonian to know that we would have been ambassadors for the island and would have spread this knowledge. So next year, and you mentioned anything about resources. Resources doesn't have to be capital. It doesn't just have to be capital. It doesn't have to be funds. It could be manpower. It could be, we have a lot of walking libraries walking around, especially in the cultural fraternity, that persons have a plethora of information and a library of knowledge that we as young people need to know going forward. So that is resources that you could lend. It could even be services. It could be tokens. So anything that you believe that could help the next generation or that could supplement what we are doing to leave an impact. Because going to Trinidad with logistics and tokens and put everything together, it was quite costly. And we didn't think of it as we're doing this for the money or anything. We think of it as we want to impact young people's lives. So if that is your same sentiment, if that is where your passion is at, please reach out to us. We are willing to work with everybody. TPAC is amazing. TPAC is Tobago's best. We're willing to work with divisions. We're willing to work with private organizations. But we need you guys to also meet us on the half. I will send out the proposals. I will make the meetings. I'll make everything happen for the benefit of the kids. The kids were amazing. And funny enough, the primary school students showing up, some of the secondary school students, some of the primary school students doing all the dance. They could shake it to the max. They could do everything. And it filled me with such joy to see the passion that these young people have. And I think we need to take them at this tender age and guide them towards a non-violent and non-bullying path with the medium that they know. So if anybody's have any ideas, any support, please reach out to us. Please reach out to me, Pros on Facebook, on TikTok, on social media. My number is 3912916. I'm very WhatsApp friendly. Let us do our parts to make Trinidad and Tobago a better country.
Excellent. We want to thank you so much for that and the initiatives that MPROS has been doing to reach out to the youths in Trinidad and in Tobago as well. And guys, we want to thank you so much for sticking with us this morning. Thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have been doing and continue to do to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Again, I am Shenell Felix, and have a great day. So wake up and hear